accused of staging outing where he signed autographs amid Blake-Lively Justin Baldoni legal.
Pathetic. Oh.
So Ryan Reynolds obviously has to be deported back to. The moral crimes committed here by Ryan Reynolds against Justin Baldoni have amounted to high treason.
For over 3 decades, Ryan Reynolds has masterfully crafted Hollywood's ultimate nice guy persona from his humble beginnings as a teenage soap opera heartthrob to becoming the charismatic face of blockbuster hits like Deadpool. Reynolds has thrived on his flawless public image.
And that to me is the goosebump moment. That's the thing that I feel most proud of in this movie.
He's a guy everyone wants to be friends with, funny, charming, relatable, and endlessly generous. We're talking about the man who casually donated a cool $1 million to Ukrainian refugees and whose heartwarming venture with Wrexham Football Club had fans everywhere swooning, dubbing him the real-life Ted Lasso. This guy wasn't just acting like Mr. Nice Guy. He was Hollywood's literal embodiment of it.
I just can't imagine what it feels like to be told that you got to leave your home. Let alone with 15 minutes notice. We were just feeling a tremendous amount of empathy for the displaced families in Ukraine.
But now, after decades of meticulous image crafting, Reynolds' pristine reputation is crashing down spectacularly, all thanks to his wife, Blake. Lively's explosive feud with Justin Baldoni. Yes, Blake. Lively, the former queen of Gossip Girl drama, has managed to drag her husband into one of Hollywood's nastiest legal brawls.
Lively, it was Ryan Reynolds. This was their strategy. And now they kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle. But guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle.
And suddenly Reynolds is not the likable, funny man anymore. Instead, he's the co-conspirator in a ruthless plot to destroy Baldoni's career, hijack his movie, and smear his name in every tabloid possible. When you first heard this, you probably thought it sounded insane, right? Trust me, that was how it felt when we got a whiff of Ryan's involvement in this scandal. But one thing you should know ahead of time is that the story goes much deeper.
Lately, everyone is bashing Blake Lively, but apparently the true villain in this saga is...
In the last few months alone, Reynolds has gone from beloved actor to alleged puppet master accused by Baldoni of not only helping Blake kick him off his own movie, but also engineering a media-driven takedown to cancel him completely. We're talking about secret meetings at Reynolds' swanky Manhattan Mansion, where he made some subtle yet menacing threats with a big, cheeky smile.
Everything started when Ryan Reynolds decided to stroll onto the movie set one day and review the dailies.
Now that everything's burst wide open beyond control, the Golden Couple is trying to fix up Reynolds in his desperate attempt to reclaim his sinking reputation, has just been caught organizing a staged paparazzi. Yep, you heard. That writer's team arranged suspicious autograph sessions with autograph grafters disguised as fans at a pretty insane thing to do right. But the wildest part about it is how painfully obvious the whole setup was. You'd cringe harder than a bad rom-com if you caught the clip using fake fans to fool the public all. Because you want to control the Mr. Nice Guy narrative was the tipping point. And guess what? Nobody is buying such BS anymore.
This is the guy who made all these posters. He realized that he made the posters for the allegedly fake paparazzi shoot with Ryan Reynolds.
Today, we're diving deep into the shocking scandal, laying out every dirty detail from the orchestrated paparazzi shots to Ryan's desperate attempts to save face and Blake's reckless ambition that might just drag them both down permanently. Buckle up, because Hollywood's nicest guy is about to be exposed as public enemy number one, and you won't believe how fast and hard he's falling.
He was either reading her text messages, reading through the dailies, reading through the script, and he just decided, okay, you know what? This entire production needs to be halted. I don't trust my wife, okay? And my strongest inclination for that was the fact that on the day that the SAG-AFTRA strike ended, on the day that both of them had to go back to work, meaning Ryan had to go back to film for Wolverine and Deadpool, Wayfarer gets that shocking email of demands. And basically their production gets suspended while Ryan gets to go in the UK and feel confident knowing that she's not going to see Justin Baldoni until he's back. That was just my speculation. Well, in the recent filing, we can now see that Ryan was panicked in general about him being apart from Blake Lively, so much so that when they first communicated with one another, okay, so this is the first time that Ryan Reynolds and Justin Baldoni are speaking to one another and they're exchanging text messages, and Justin Baldoni does this thing where he's just like so nice and was like, he literally, to sum it up, because I'm not going to read Justin's entire text, he basically is like, I was nervous to even text you. I'm such a fan of you. Like, you're so...
You know what's really wild about Ryan Reynolds and this downward arc he's on? It was only months ago that he was bestowed Canada's highest civilian honor, the Officer of the Order of Canada, celebrating not just his on-screen charisma, but his tireless charitable work. We got to give it to him and his team, because his carefully curated nice guy persona had everyone full hook, line, and sinker. Ryan Reynolds was the guy your mom wanted you to marry, your friends wanted to hang out with, and your dad respected.
And then says this like really almost first day of middle school kind of thing where he's like, all of this to say, I know I sound ridiculous, but like, I just really want to be friends with you. Like, he literally tells Ryan he wants to be friends with you. And I can just see Ryan sitting there like, yes, this is exactly what I want.
Now he's got himself thrust into the middle of Hollywood's ugliest feud, one that wasn't even his own, making, at least not initially, at first you probably imagine that it's normal for him to support Blake Lively. After all, she's his wife. But when you consider the way this legal war with Justin Baldoni spiraled into something straight out of a Netflix thriller, you can't help but imagine it had a lot to do with him. One thing Ryan loves more than anything is creating a spectacle. Even the ever-energetic Candace Owens confirmed he never really warmed up to Justin. In fact, he never really liked him.
Ryan Reynolds is throwing down some alpha male, and by alpha male, I mean extremely beta male, I have rich and powerful friends at the top.
Everything reared its head in December, when Lively filed a shocking lawsuit accusing Justin of sexual harassment retaliation and leading a smear campaign against her. We are talking over 150 pages of documents. Here, it was explosive, scandalous, and immediately took over headlines. But Baldoni, who was shocked at first, wasn't going down without a fight. And when he swung back, he aimed directly at Hollywood's golden couple, and that was the moment Reynolds was officially dragged into this fight in his. For a $100 million countersuit, Baldoni dropped a bombshell accusation alleging that Reynolds wasn't just a supportive husband standing by Blake's side. He was actively involved in conspiring with Lively to hijack the film project from him. But do you know what's crazy about this? Baldoni actually adored Reynolds and his immense achievements in Hollywood so much, so that the first time they chatted, Ryan asked him if he could change their production date to suit his schedule, and he immediately agreed.
Then moves immediately to ask Justin Baldoni to change their production dates because he's never been apart from Blake Lively so long.
He didn't have to agree to change the production date. He only had business with the wife, not him, but he did it anyway because he's trying to play it cool and be nice to his idol.
I would have your line producer's face tattooed to my perineum if he, she, or they can figure out how to start 2 weeks early.
You're probably wondering how they went from having a brew-bro convo like this to the point where Baloney is accusing him of orchestrating a well-funded attack to ruin his career and reputation. Completely, you should know that when it comes to Hollywood, 6 months is a long time for the world to end and another to begin. Baldoni claimed Reynolds leveraged his considerable influence behind the scenes, bullying and threatening anyone who stood in their way. It's clear Mr. Nice Guy wasn't so nice anymore at this point. He was probably never a nice guy in the first place, because how do you explain the striking similarity between those nice pool send scenes and this drama with Baldoni? It's almost like Reynolds was dissing his wife and her director in that scene.
And I guess you've already met Mary Poppins, a.k.a. Dog Pool. Careful where you put your hand. She's 90% G-spot, and she'll let you know it. You let this little flirt out of your sight for 1 second, and she starts shopping for a new papa. If you can't be a responsible pet owner, then maybe you don't deserve this little unicorn. Guilty on all charges, Your Honor.
When everyone figured out the true meaning behind this weird scene, jaws collectively hit the floor across Hollywood. This wasn't just scandalous. It was unthinkable. Could Ryan Reynolds, the wholesome Canadian darling, really be capable of something so calculated, manipulative, and sinister? The idea that he created a whole scene in his own franchise movie to mock Baldoni seemed absurd. But when you watch that scene closely, you'll realize it's too detailed and precise to be a coincidence.
Nothing in this scene is funny. Nothing in this scene makes sense. Why is he alleging that his wife is trying to place him in a skit which is promoting domestic violence?
This revelation shattered the illusion Reynolds had so carefully built. Fans quickly pieced together a troubling picture. Reynolds wasn't merely supporting his wife. He was actively participating in the attempted destruction of another man's career. But do you know what's pretty wild? Reynolds didn't stop at the scene in Deadpool after they'd successfully hijacked the movie from Baldoni. He did a few skits promoting the film, and this time, he wasn't so subtle with his digs at Baldoni, even Candace. couldn't believe her eyes.
Well, it's not every day the mother-in-law of the leading lady gets to interview the love interest and the man trying to replace my sweet little gummy bear, Ryan. Let's dive in.
If you're wondering how this skit relates to the theme of the film, they were promoting, "You should know you aren't the only one. It's pretty crazy that it's Reynolds of all people who's doing promo skits for a movie his wife was hired to co-star, and many of us probably didn't realize they already staged a coup at that point."
Ms. Reynolds.
Call me Blake.
Oh,
I could blow your mind, dog.
Oh, man.
It's not every day a guy gets to interview the love interest of his best friend's wife, and the guy trying to replace Ryan as a husband and me as his best mate.
Holy.
So listen, I've just got one question. What the hell are you doing messing with my best buddy's wife?
Sir, I have no idea what's happened.
The innuendo in this skit is unmistakable. Honestly, the stark contrast between Reynolds' charming public persona and the ruthless moves he's making behind the scenes couldn't be more glaring. This wasn't a Ryan. Everyone thought they knew nothing about his messy and ugly involvement in this scandal-scream superhero, even though the court case recognizes the battle as Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni. In reality, it's more like Ryan Reynolds ver Justin Baldoni.
That the fact that he doesn't want to be apart from her and now he's inserted himself into every layer of this movie,
Let's take you straight to one of the scenes of the crime. The glitzy New York City premiere of it ends with us cameras flashing reporters, buzzing Blake, Lively glowing. And then she dropped the bombshell nobody saw coming in what seemed at first like an innocent slip during a casual red carpet chat with News Blake, without batting an eyelash, casually revealed that the now infamous rooftop scene, the same scene she presented as her brilliant creative vision, was in fact written by none other than her husband, Ryan Reynolds.
It's just so thrilling in our house right now. We help each other. We work together so much. The iconic rooftop scene in this movie, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you.
Yep, she said that on live TV. Do you know how confident you've got to be to say something like that? Blake didn't just let slip a trivial secret. She exposed a carefully hidden truth that instantly shattered the narrative she'd been selling to the world, and more importantly, to Baldoni himself.
But he wrote it. He works on everything I do. I work on everything he does. So his wins, his celebrations are mine, and mine are his. I mean, he's all over this film.
It's no surprise that Reynolds was as deeply invested in this movie, even though he's not contractually obligated to it when his wife says jump. He says how high, and vice versa. A lot of fans didn't read too much meaning to this interview when it first aired 7 months ago. But after everything that's happened since then, the outrage has been crazy. Thousands of fans and critics who had passionately followed every update about the film felt betrayed. And this isn't just because Blake had been lying through her teeth. It's more because they feel sorry for Baloney. The biggest question floating around was, why had Blake portrayed the rooftop scene as her personal creative victory if all along she was simply serving as a mouthpiece for Ryan's ideas? And just like you'd expected, the backlash was swift and brutal, flooding Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok with accusations of manipulation, deceit, and outright betrayal. Blake really had us fooled. One viral tweet read, racking up thousands of likes within hours. Another fan wrote, Ryan ghost writing Blake's scenes without Baldoni knowing feels shady as hell. This was never about creative collaboration. It was sabotage. But you know where Reynolds really messed up? Out of nowhere, rumors about his involvement in Baldoni getting dropped from his agency, WME, started floating around. Eventually, it turned out that it wasn't a rumor. After all, he was front and center in getting the young director laid off from the biggest agency in Hollywood.
That at the Deadpool after party, Ryan went and found a William Morris Endeavor. Now that's the biggest agency. Everybody's under them. That's the one that Justin Baldoni got dropped from, and told that executive that they were working with a sexual predator.
It's almost unbelievable, but after everything we've learned in recent weeks, you really can't put it past them. They got the movie. What else could they want? Ryan probably thought that if he could get Baldoni blacklisted in Hollywood, while also turning the fans against him completely, he would be forced to give up the rights to the movie. And if he did that, he and his wife would be able to make the sequel however they see fit.
He infests himself into every area of your life. And he did this, Justin Baldoni. He's like, who are your friends? Okay. Who owns the production company? Who owns the next movie script? I am going to infest myself everywhere. I'm going to be doing your movie premiere. I'm going to be doing promos and making fun of you. Right? I'm going to put myself in the end credits. Like, this is like psychotic behavior.
Just take a second and picture yourself in Baldwin's shoes after pouring your soul into adapting a beloved novel, painstakingly crafting scenes and dialogues, only to find out at your own premiere that the most talked about moment wasn't even yours or even Blake's, as you've been led to believe Baldoni didn't even get to see the final cut of this movie. He had no clue what changes were made until he sat down and watched it on screen himself.
And she bullied him into giving her the movie where she did her own cut. They released the cut of the movie. He didn't even get to see it. He was the director of the film, the producer of the film, the guy who got the rights to the film, the one who's supposed to be in control. He didn't even get to see it. He was in the basement of his own movie.
In those text receipts released by Baldwin's team, Lively was talking like she was the one who crafted that rooftop scene rewrite. She championed it loudly as her vision and did everything to get Baldoni to compromise. When she realized he wasn't when she pulled the rug right out from under him, she kept clamoring for authorship in that 2023 Forbes interview. But she couldn't even write a scene herself. She had to enlist her husband. What does that say about her dream to be a director? The fact that Ryan penned such a pivotal script despite not having any official creative role in the film is the ultimate betrayal. Anyone could feel Baldoni really got played.
And then she had the nerve, because she had 2 minutes of bad publicity when the film hit, to come out and try to blame it all on him. None of it was just due to the fact that she seems like a rather shitty.
You gotta wonder how long Reynolds has been pulling Lively strings over this movie. It's not too much to think that she probably had no creative input in everything she suggested to Baloney. She was just a proxy for the boogeyman pushing his hidden agenda onto the film set. Let's be real, it's really mind-boggling.
And she tries to make it sound like a female empowerment thing, like they just wanted me to be an actor. Well, yes, I mean, maybe someday you could be a producer or a screenwriter, but no one contracted with you for...
It's clear now that she's neither a producer nor a screenwriter. She was just a giddy messenger. Honestly, the scandal about Ryan writing all the changes made in this film isn't just embarrassing. It threatens the authenticity of the entire project. It ends with us wasn't some obscure indie project. It was a hotly anticipated adaptation of one of the most beloved books in recent memory. Fans of Colleen Hoover's novel expected sincerity, sensitivity, and genuine artistic vision, especially given the heavy subject matter of domestic violence. No wonder they drag her aggressively for the way she carried herself during the film's press tour. She's probably never been called out so much in her entire acting career.
Accusing Blake Lively of using the film's promotional campaign to promote things other than the movie, like her hairline, or a lot of the interviews give off a fun, flowery image, and not using the movie to discuss the far more serious topic of domestic violence.
Instead of for her to sit up and look herself in the mirror, discover where she went wrong, and do better, she turned around and blamed it all on Baldoni. A lot of fans were shocked when they figured out the reason why she accused him of financing a smear campaign against her, because they believed she more than deserved the call out. Not only was she acting weird, but she also found it difficult, ULT, to answer a single question relating to theme of the movie, almost like she had no clue about the sensitive topics the movie was based on.
So if someone understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it?
Like asking for my address or my phone number or my location share. Or I could just location share you and then we could...
That wasn't the question. This is a movie about DV. So out of touch. This cringe sense of humor. It's giving super rich, out of touch people who are trying to be super relatable, but they're not.
Baldoni thought he had made new friends when he met the seemingly wonderful celebrity couple. He had no clue he was about to get exploited in ways he couldn't fathom. Ryan was a mastermind, and Lively was the orchestrator. What a team. That is, together, they quietly maneuver to control of the project's sideline as authority and ultimately force him out of his own creation.
Well, problem here, it's if you hire the plumber and he climbs out from under the sink and says, now let's talk about how you've decorated the place. What are you talking about, man? I gave you a job.
How dare they hire an actor?
Now, you see why Baldwin's lawsuit isn't just plausible. It's probable if Reynolds had been secretly writing scenes and Blake had willingly hidden that fact. Imagine how many other creative decisions they had hijacked. We could probably say Reynolds was a director of the movie Alba. Invincible. His influence in this movie is way more extreme than we imagine. The couple's wholesome, supportive image has now been shown to be nothing more than a facade. It ain't real.
Started to rewrite scenes that nobody had asked her to rewrite.
What? That's just wild to me. I mean, for the plumber thing is absolutely perfect. I mean, you hired somebody to do a job and they're like, well, hold on a second. I've got a different vision for your toilet.
Right.
I'd like to create a bidet.
In one disastrous slip of the tongue, Blake had unwittingly confirmed Baldwin's most explosive claims. It wasn't just gossip anymore. This is tangible proof that Reynolds had played a much larger, more insidious role behind the scenes for Baldoni, who had endured months of media scrutiny and public skepticism. This revelation felt like vindication. But for Blake and Ryan, it was the beginning of an uncontrollable PR nightmare. Baldwin's fans hope he will be able to reference this interview with E Knows as proof of the things that were done to him behind the scenes. But will he be able to do that? Well, time will tell.
He invests himself into every area of your life. And he did this Justin Baldoni. He's like, who are your friends? Okay. Who owns the production company? Who owns the next movie script? I am going to invest myself everywhere. I'm going to be doing your movie premiere. I'm going to be doing promos and
Now, let's get into the deliciously messy details of how Ryan Reynolds desperately tried and spectacularly failed to salvage his crumbling public image. Honestly, folks, this one's juicy enough to make even the Kardashians blush. I don't know whether his PR team had some kind of malfunction, or should we call it glitch, but standing there at the PY Center in New York City was Hollywood's beloved golden boy, and what was he doing? It's not clear, but according to reports, he came for an event anyways. The superstar was walking out only to be surprised by a crowd of adoring fans. Sounds sweet and spontaneous. Right, except this moment was about as authentic as a $3 bill. Last eagle-eyed fans on TikTok immediately started dissecting the scene, and trust me, the details they uncovered are wildly embarrassing for Reynolds. Every single fan in this conveniently timed mob seemed to magically have the same shabby cardboard sign scribbled in bright markers, eerily identical handwriting, same tape, colors, same overall design. Isn't that too much of a coincidence? One popular TikTok star, Tannel, didn't waste a second calling out this charade, and honestly, she did it so beautifully that we're still clapping. She pointed out something painfully obvious: no phones. Yep, you heard that right. It's 2025, people. Since when do fans not whip out their phones the second they spot a celebrity? Instead, these fans just happen to have perfectly crafted signs, but zero interest in capturing the moment. Makes sense, right? But we've also got to note that these autograph hounds tend to come to this specific spot a lot, but that doesn't mean it couldn't be arranged. There are instances where Meghan Markle was caught doing it, for example.